Americans are giving up. And the 9-to-5 grind is burning everybody out. The American dream is becoming less and less obtainable, with more people working through retirement. As a matter of fact, more people working until the day they die. Unalive. More younger and older people are actually living in their cars. And more people in the workforce are working 2 or more jobs than ever before. And not only are more people unemployed, but they're stating that they're being unemployed for longer periods of time, having to live off of savings or back at their parents' house, and many of them are having to put in hundreds of applications before they're able to land their next job, allowing many to feel disillusioned as the system seems to be more about profits than people. Let's get into it. So I was watching some videos on my feed today, Venters, and basically it was this gentleman talking about what I had just said, that there's a lot of people that are disillusioned, they're tired of the rat race, they feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel, they're without hope, if you will. And the video had quite a few good comments, so I want to share those with you. Now it seems like there's an endless amount of bills that never end, and even if you did cut your excessive spending out, all those bills that we have seem to go up each and every year, yet the income doesn't. So you kind of feel like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. A lot of times my opinions are based on the fact that I have adult kids that no longer live with me. The truth is, if I still had children living with me and I had to go through the bills that parents have with their kids, you know, new shoes for them every school year, new clothes every school year, books, papers, utensils, all the things that they might need. I guess not utensils, but you know what I mean. If they need pencils and paper and pens, and school needs, sometimes there's field trips where they need money. Of course, there's lunches every day at school where they're going to need money. If I had those bills that young parents have, I would probably really be in a tough spot. So when I talk, keep in mind, a lot of times I'm talking from an area of knowledge based on where I'm at now in life, where I don't have those extra bills. So a lot of times it is a little easier for me to save money than it might be for a young mom or dad. Sometimes that's easy to forget. So that's the cool thing about talking out loud with you guys, is sometimes I'm able to remember those things. By the way, don't forget, if you're brand new, it isn't just about me walking and babbling. It's really about us walking together. And if we walk together for long enough, guess what? We'll start to solve some problems, including our financial problems, maybe some emotional problems we're dealing with, maybe some relationship problems, and then of course some health issues, because if we can all lose weight together and have a walking routine as a team, then we'll hopefully be able to hit a lot of those health goals that we've set for ourselves. And if you've set some health goals for yourself, please consider subscribing and joining us on the walk. We do it each day. So on this video, @Brendan says they're not paying for a cost of living wage, let alone being gainfully employed. The American dream nowadays is to leave. Here's the weird thing. You guys have heard of these passport bros. We always look at it and we say, hey, these people feel like there's no girl or no woman in this country for them. And so they want to leave the country to go to another country to meet a woman. But that's only part of it. A lot of times the passport bros will actually talk about how the standard of living in other countries is near where America's is, but it's so much cheaper. You know, imagine being able to take 40 or 50 grand to some of these countries, and imagine being able to live incredibly comfortably on that 40 or 50 grand for many, many years to come. That wouldn't happen here in the US. That 50 grand you'd probably burn through that in a year to 2 years. But in other countries, you can make that money last probably a decade in some countries, not all. But a lot of people will tell you things are just way less expensive outside of the US. And I think that is a shame. I wish the US wasn't so expensive, because that's really the reason that none of us are satisfied with the money we make. Because the rents are sky high and they seem to get higher every month and every year. The extravagances that we like to buy, right? We like to go out to the movies, we like to go out shopping. Those things get exponentially more expensive as the years go by. I always find it interesting that every year that iPhone comes out with the latest model, because what are they up to now? iPhone 16 or 17? It seems to me like it's always $1,300 or $1,400, and somehow they always have an endless line around the building ready for people to put out their money to get a new iPhone. Now, I'm an Android user. I'm one of these guys, and I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I like going into the phone store and I like buying like the cheapest phone I can, you know, the A03s or whatever from Samsung, like literally the $100 phone. Now, could I afford an Apple, or could I afford at least a more expensive phone than the bottom? Yeah, I suppose. But again, you got to keep in mind, I'm one of these boring guys that I really love my walk, and the whole idea of staring on a phone that costs $1,500 or $1,600, I just don't think I could do that. I'm a little too cheap to do those sort of things. And also, besides that, I'm one of these guys that I grew up at a time where we really valued giant, large, big screen TVs. And so I know a lot of people watch movies and everything on their cell phone, but I've just never enjoyed watching videos on my cell phone. Don't get me wrong, I do, because sometimes you're out and about, you're doing nothing, you're in the waiting room at a doctor's office, and you want to watch a little video on your phone. There's no harm in it. But I just prefer to watch big screen TV, and I'm sure you guys do too, or at least you used to. You've just probably gotten used to watching stuff on your cell phone. Wouldn't it be cool, though, if everybody in the country, or heck, wouldn't it be cool if everybody in the world didn't have to worry about finances? Wouldn't it be cool if we did just have everything and it was all about just being happy? But you want to know something? Even if all of us were rich and never had to worry about money again, I think there'd be other things that we would start worrying about. That's kind of been our MO as people, right? We always find problems where there aren't any, or if there isn't a problem to be had, we kind of create one for ourselves. It's really weird. The desert guy says, I call it system fatigue. Tired of chasing money to pay bills that never go away. That's what's so shitty. Like I was saying a couple minutes ago, imagine if you had $300 or $400 a month worth of, spending that didn't need to be there. For example, you're spending a lot on fast food, you're spending a lot on extracurriculars, right? And imagine you decided to discipline yourself and cut out all those costs. Well, there's a good chance at the end of the year, your rent is going to go up, your utilities are going to go up, your cell phone, the whole 9 yards, everything in your life is going to go up. In other words, even if you do become really, really cheap and frugal and smart with your money, there's still a good chance that you're still going to be in the exact same spot year after year, as long as we live in a country where everybody wants to charge more than they did the previous year. It's really kind of a bummer situation where if you can look down the road, you can obviously see it's a never-ending rat race. Imagine if you were playing an opponent in sports, whatever your favorite sport is, and you had this opponent that you played against, and every time you made an improvement and started winning, they would make an improvement and even the score. That's kind of how life feels for me, whether it's bills in the real world or even just trying to become successful at YouTube. It feels like every time I get better, it doesn't necessarily reflect in the scorecard. And I think that's how life is for a lot of people, Like I said, you discipline yourself, you start to spend your money more smartly, and before you know it, all the bills that you have managed to go up anyway. I think think I bit off a little more than I could chew with this YouTube channel. I didn't realize that when you want to do an upload every day for the rest of your life, that means that you're pretty much agreeing to do an upload for eternity. And I think it would be wonderful to do an upload with my walk and you guys all the time. But the problem is I'm getting to the point where I'm only getting 1 or 2 people to literally thumbs up on the walk. And then people that watch the reaction at night, I'm literally only getting 3 or 4 people to hit the thumbs up there. So here's my question to you, Venters. If every time you spoke, people left the room and left the building and then left the city on top of it, how long would you do that before you would just say, hey, I don't think it's really me giving up. I think it's just people don't like me. And that's a tough one to deal with because sometimes that happens in real life. You ever see a person and they're single and you go up to them and you're like, God, how come you're not married? You seem like the perfect girl or the perfect guy. And a lot of times you come to find out that they have shortcomings, right? And there's a reason that maybe they're single, right? Like they're batshit crazy or something. But then there's other people that they never really reveal the batshit craziness. And you just say, man, for whatever reason, life just didn't really work out for them. Well, that's kind of how I feel about YouTube. I love it. I'm okay with other creators doing better than I am because, I believe that you shouldn't try to compare yourself to others. But I can't help but feel like maybe there's just a little bit of YouTube that doesn't really want my channel to get out there. And then even if it did, I can't help but feel like maybe I've been wrong. Maybe I'm not half as interesting as I thought that I was. And maybe I'm never going to be popular on YouTube. So I don't know. I'm contemplating changing some things up. Maybe I'll make my show where it's not even walking anymore. Maybe I'll change it to where it's once a week or something. Because I really do enjoy being on YouTube. But I got to tell you guys, man, it's depressing when nobody watches your videos and then on top of that, nobody hits the thumbs up. People hit thumbs up when they watch something special. And I think the problem with uploading and putting up a walking video every single day is I don't think people find that daily upload special, right? If something was only once a week, maybe it would be more special. I don't know. MP12791 says, the cost of living is now the cost of survival. It really is. MP, I agree with you. It does kind of seem like we're no longer paying our money to live and increase every year and do something special by the time we retire. It now seems like literally half the country is living paycheck to paycheck. I think if it was just people in their 20s, it would be no big deal. But there are literally people in their 40s and 50s and 60s that are living out of their car. And that is horrible. That is absolutely god-awful. It's really sad when you see those people and they have pets and it's like, oh my God, I know that we all don't want to be alone and I know we see our dogs and cats as our kids, but man, maybe it would be better to just try to take care of yourself and save that extra money. Google, it says, I live in my Toyota Tacoma truck, which has a camper shell. I don't pay rent, utilities, homeowners insurance, or property taxes. I shower each night at Planet Fitness, which costs $25 a month. I stay warm in the winter by heating up water for coffee on my cook stove, and I park in the shade to stay cool in the summer. When I lived in my apartment, I was always broke. Since I've lived in my truck, I've been able to save $2,000 a month. That's really a sad story, but it sounds to me like this guy has a goal. And his goal is, hey, if I'm able to save $2,000 a month, then after the course of a whole fiscal year, I'll be able to save $25,000. Now, I don't know if his goal is just to do it for a couple of months, but if his goal is to do it for 3 or 4 years, then I'm guessing his plan is to eventually have $100,000. And if he does it for another 5 or 6 years on top of that, who knows? The guy might be able to save $500,000. Who knows? I know it's sad. I know it's something that others can do a little bit more easily than others can, right? That some can do easier than others. But what a tough deal to be in. You know, how do you explain that to people? You know, I have to have my membership at Planet Fitness so I can take my daily shower and be presentable. That might sound sad, but at least it's a plan. I think what happens is a lot of people don't really think about what's going to happen to them tomorrow. They get upset easily. They have an argument with Dale at work and they decide to resign and quit right then and there, even though they're already behind on their bills. I think sometimes if the plan is to rough it, like living in your truck, then I think that that's what you have to do. But even if that's your worst case scenario and you're forced into that life, I think you should still have a plan. And it sounds to me like his plan is to save whatever he has to make sure that at the end of each month he has $2,000. And that really is going to change his life for the better. The only sad thing is, you and I both know that the streets are mean and tough, and let's just pray that wherever this guy is, let's hope that he's able to make it through the year safely. Could you imagine if you were forced to sleep in your vehicle, and then all of a sudden one day you start to hear people trying to open your door from the outside because they don't realize you're in there? You could put yourself in some real scary situations. But who knows, wouldn't that be crazy if you're trying to burglarize a house and you're thinking that everyone's out of town and no one sees you, and you don't realize that in the car right outside is somebody sleeping, videotaping you? That would be something else. That'd be kind of a cool story, wouldn't it? You have some guy that nobody cares for. They kind of ostracize him and kind of, you know, everybody pushes him out of their lives. So instead of just leaving away and crying about it, he starts sleeping in his truck, right? And pretty soon some people start to get their house or their cars burglarized, and he ends up being the hero. I like stories like that. That sounds like something that would be a Hallmark movie or a Lifetime movie. I like those stories. I also like stories occasionally where the guy like Jesse ends up winning. It's really, really sad. I watch some YouTube videos and it's like I feel like people are doing the exact same thing I am. And in some cases, because you know how the ego is, in some cases you're like, God, I don't even think they're half as good as my show is. Yet for some reason, somehow, they're successful. What I try to tell myself is that it's not the YouTube algorithm, that it's just kind of the way God works. God is always going to put some people on a pathway where it seems like everything they touch turns to gold, right? You've met friends like that, haven't you? Where it seems like they have the Midas touch. But then in the same sentence, we also have friends that it seems like whatever they do, it never seems to work out for them. They are literally darned if they do, darned if they don't, right? I don't know why the world works that way. That's why sometimes I think it's just a test. And if it is just a test, oh my goodness, it is not the easiest test, at least not for everybody, right? But it's funny because even tests are like that. You remember in school, there'd be some smart kids that for whatever reason, they just didn't test well. And then conversely, there'd be kids that were smart, but they did test well. Those are the ones that got straight A's and always had the best projects, and you know, they were really the apple of the teacher's eye, so to speak, right? And then, like I said, there's just some people, they seem a little unlucky in life. There's parts of me that likes the unlucky because it's that same thing in me that roots for the underdog, right? Whether it be Arizona State in football or my Phoenix Suns in basketball. I mean, think about this. I've been a Phoenix Suns fan my whole life. I've never seen them win anything. They've gotten to the finals a couple times. They even looked like the best team in basketball a couple of seasons. But when it came to actually winning, they never quite got there, you know? Now, does that mean I'm not a fan? No, I'm always going to be a fan. But when you lose all the time, you can kind of get to the point where you're okay if you miss the game. And that's how YouTube makes some of us feel. I used to watch videos And I would say like, oh my God, this person had such a good channel. And then I would say, but they quit. Isn't that a bummer? Hey, venters, why don't you go to their YouTube channel, thumbs up and subscribe to them, and leave a comment asking them to come back and give us an update. Remember, I used to do videos like that. But now here's the shitty thing. I'm kind of going through their experience. I look at other YouTubers and it seems like whatever they do, no matter how goofy the title is or how ugly their thumbnail is, it seems to get a lot of good response. And then I look at my channel and it seems to me like it's like a cup of water with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much water you put in at the top, it always seems to run dry a couple days later. So I just want you to know it's not really in my nature to quit or give up. But at the same time, it's not really in my nature to force people to listen to me. And if the only people I can get to listen are Mala and Sean and Carla, I just don't know if it's really worth talking. So in the future, you might see me miss a day or 2 or 10. I'm gonna still be a YouTuber, but I really am starting to lose heart with it. I don't like being a part of some algorithm where it's, all chance. And if God doesn't want me to be a YouTuber, He has given me more than enough signs that He probably doesn't. But I just want you guys to know I love you. The walk must go on. So even if there is a day or a week or a month where you don't see me, please keep walking. It's very important to me that you guys keep walking. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful night, and I'll see you later.